Welcome back to our series on assignments in Ultra courses. This video will cover how your students submit their assignments and how you'll grade them. Before we get started, I do want to cover a couple of things to keep in mind. The first is file types. So you cannot limit the types of files that students upload to an Ultra assignment. This is not a change from original assignments. You can't limit them there either. However, we recommend that you tell students not to upload anything except Word or PDF files if you're having them submit a paper or other written document. Of course, if you're having them submit spreadsheets or database files or something specific to your discipline, those would be submitted in their native file format. They just wouldn't work with the preview tools that Blackboard provides. Students may want to use Pages or Google Docs for creating their assignments, and that's perfectly fine. Both of those can save to Word or PDF, and we have knowledge base articles available for the students to help them do that. I do have a bit of good news. Blackboard is planning on releasing the ability to limit what file types students are able to submit. Right now they're planning it for either late 2023 or early 2024. Of course, because that's in the future, that may very well change. I also want to give you a few notes about things to keep in mind while you're viewing the students' submissions. The first is that while the tool that allows you to grade assignments directly in Scholar is pretty good, they're basically guessing at the file formats that Microsoft and Adobe provide for Word and PDF files. Usually they guess right, but sometimes more complex things or less often used things can be altered. A couple things that we've noticed are footnotes. If your footnotes look a little bit scrambled, you're going to want to take a look at the original paper. And complex formatting, especially as it involves spacing, can sometimes get lost. So what we recommend doing if things do look a little messed up when you're going through and grading that stuff, download the file because the downloaded file will not be affected. Another thing involves SafeAssign. SafeAssign can have both false positives and false negatives. So we ask that you do two things. One is while you're looking at SafeAssign, if it's a high score, don't automatically fail the student. Instead, a high SafeAssign score means that you need to click on the report and take a look at it and see what's going on. The reverse of that is a low SafeAssign score does not necessarily mean the student didn't get it from somewhere else. If a student's writing does not sound like it should be, then start investigating. One of the quickest ways to do it is to Google a suspicious phrase, and it may very well come up. If it does, shoot us an email so we can make sure that Blackboard adds that to the SafeAssign database. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at the tool. So we're going to start by looking at how the students submit their assignments, and it's pretty simple. We see we have our assignment up here at the top. I'm going to give it a click, and the peek panel pops out. If we look down here at the bottom, we see View Assessment, so they have to do that. And they'll see any information that you put in the assignment, any templates, downloads, things like that. You see there's a submission box down here at the bottom. And there's a couple of ways students can get the documents for their assignment into the assignment. They can use this attachment button here, but really I recommend simply dragging and dropping a file into this area in the middle here. This is what I'm going to do. Drag it in there, let it go. They can change the name if they want. Hit save. And immediately it will display a preview of the file. It takes a little bit to actually fully convert, but the students will see this and know if their file was the right one and if it worked with the upload and everything. Once they've done that, they just click submit, and gives them one last chance if they didn't do it right. When they click submit a second time, they get this notification that their submission was successful. And in addition to that, they get an email with a confirmation number saying that their submission was successful. Something I recommend you do if a student says that Blackboard took their assignment but you don't see it is ask them to forward on this confirmation. That's kind of all there is for the student side. So let's take a look at what you'll see. So we saw how the student submission worked. Now we need to actually grade our assignment. And you get there one of three ways. If you're used to doing it the original course way, you can go to the gradebook. If it's in grid view, you'll have to kind of scroll to where it is. In our case, it is here, and you'll see new submission. You can click on it and click view. It's probably easier if you go in here to the gradable items, and you can then see it. You can even sort by grading status, so what needs grading will be popped up to the top here. Probably the easiest way, however, is to just click on the assignment, and up here at the top you'll see some different tabs, and you can click on the Submissions tab. Any way that you do it will bring you right here to the Submissions page, and you can see the different students and whether the assignment is graded, whether there are multiple attempts, and whether the attempts are posted. So we're going to click on this to get to our grading interface. And you see the flexible grading interface, which is the way you grade things in Ultra. Over here on the left, you'll see all of your students who have submitted assignments, and we can switch between them just by clicking. You'll also see questions up here. It's grayed out. If you give tests with different questions, you can actually go and grade by question instead of by test. We're not going to do that in this video, but we will do that in the tests video. You can also, if we go here to a student that has multiple attempts, if you can switch between attempts with the drop down up here at the top. Switch back to our first student here though. On the right side, you will see a little pop out here, and when we click on it, you'll see the SafeAssign report. Now, it's really important that you remember the SafeAssign report percentage has both false positives and false negatives, so don't ever say that if you get a certain percentage on SafeAssign, you automatically fail or anything like that. But this just tells us whether we have to look at it, and really it depends on your discipline whether you have to look at it. 100% you pretty much always have to. So we have the reports here. It allows you to put multiple things on here. If you had multiple questions that you were doing SafeAssign for or something like that, you could do that. When I click on it, I see the SafeAssign report. And here in the report, you see that's not plagiarized right here, and then a whole bunch of stuff that is plagiarized. When I click on something that's supposedly plagiarized, it will show me what the text was in the paper, what the text was in the source, and then the source of the paper down here. If this is an item that is something you can view, so if it's something on the internet, if it's something in the ABI ProQuest database, or if it's a paper that you would otherwise have access to, you can click on this down here at the bottom to get access to the full document. If it is another student's paper at another institution or a course you don't have access to, you can't access the full paper, but you can still see the common bits. On the right here, you have a list of your sources. One thing I do want to point out to you is if for some reason one of these sources is not applicable, maybe you forgot to check that exclude from the institutional and global reference databases on a rough draft, and it's showing the student plagiarized their rough draft, you can click this little no symbol here, and it'll rerun the report without that source. I'm going to click close here. So now we've got our originality report done. We're going to annotate the document that the student submitted. So to make a little more room, I'm going to shrink that panel on the right back down, and we can annotate the assignment just like we did in original courses if you've done that before. So you can select the text and highlight it, cross it out, underline it, wiggly underline it, or you can leave a comment on it. You have some other tools as well. You've got a pen tool here where you can write or draw on the assignment. This is great if you're used to grading things on paper and you either have a touchscreen device or a Wacom tablet. You can just use it like you're grading a piece of paper. You can also leave point comments by clicking here on the comment button and just clicking wherever you want to add the comment. That's useful if you have papers or you want to make sure that you don't cover up the text with the little comment icon. You can also include text boxes, and when you include a text box, it just types the text right over whatever you're trying to grade. Now you might ask, why would I want to do this? The reason is if students print this annotated document, they will not see the comments, and that's not a Blackboard thing. That's how PDF comments work. And so to get something that you know will show up if they print it, you can add a text box here. There's also lines and arrows and other shapes as well that you can put on your document with this little drop down. We're not going to worry about those though. Occasionally, you will have longer comments that maybe you need to reuse a lot of times. And you could type them every time, but Blackboard actually has a tool that makes it a little bit easier. If you see the little books here, that'll open up the content library. And you can have a bunch of different comments that you reuse every time you have a paper. Adding them is easy. You just click this plus sign over here on the top, and you just type the comment that you want. You can assign this to an existing category or a new category. If you do new category, it'll have a little box where you can type it in, or if it's an existing category, you can put it in any of those. So this is a plagiarism one. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, click add comment, and it's saved into my content library. You see it's right here. Now using these is pretty easy. You've got all of your categories here, so if you just have a few, you can pretty easily select them. But if you have a ton, you can actually search them and it will search your comments. To use a comment, you just click the three dots and you can either copy it to your clipboard, or what I like to do is just hit place comment, click where I want the comment to go. It gives you an editable box where you can then update the comment. Click save and we're good. What's nice about this content library is it follows you between all of your classes, so you just have to add everything once and then you'll be able to use it everywhere. Alright, we are ready to give our student an overall grade. So if you click on this feedback panel again, you can give overall feedback in this box right here. You can also record your feedback with video. You can click here and go to recording, and it will give you an interface that you can record up to 5 minutes of audio and or video feedback. Not going to do that in this case because I'm already recording a video for you, but just so you know it's there and it doesn't count against your course storage. Now we haven't given the student a grade yet. To do that, you're going to go up to the attempt. You don't want to go over here because that's their overall grade. So you go up to the attempt and you type in their grade. Now if you're using a rubric or something, there's more steps to that, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Once I do that, you see the grade is updated, but the student can't yet see it. You need to post the grade. This gives you a chance to grade everybody before you share the grades with anybody. Now there's several places you can post a grade. If we go over here on the left side again, you'll see there's post grades right down here at the bottom. You can also go into your assignment page and either post all grades up here at the top or post a specific student's grade on the line that applies to them. Finally, if you look in the gradebook, in the gradable items, you will see a button to post grades, and in the grid view, if we find our assignment again, you see that I have the ability to post an individual grade, or I can come up here to the top and post all of the grades. Once I do that, I get a little pop-up making sure I know what I'm doing. I click Post All Grades, and now my students can see their grades. So that's all there is for assignments in Ultra Courses. If you need help, we've established a special knowledge base site for Ultra Courses. You can also use Blackboard's help site. I'll link to both of those in the video description. You can also contact me at the information you see here on the screen. Thank you for watching.